I don't know. To me, it's more of a macro level philosophical kind of thing. I don't know. I don't know if there's any guarantee that if you let Jalen Hurts develop the rest of the year and into next year, that he's ever going to be a guy who's going to win games consistently with his arm. So the question for the Eagles is, how long are you willing to wait? Or maybe you've already made the decision that he's not that guy.
Welcome back to the final half hour of the show. Barrett Brooks, Harry Mays, and we had to pull in one of the big guns today because there's so much going on in sports, and he spans the globe from professional to the college ranks. So I figured he'd be the perfect guy to get on with all this stuff going on. The Sixers floundering around, the Flyers are in free fall, the Eagles just lost to the Giants. The Phillies are doing absolutely nothing while the Mets are signing all kinds of players. I mean, this has been a bad couple of days, Kevin.
It has been. Luckily for us, we've got the Philadelphia Union actually winning some games.
I was going to set you right up for that. The
playoffs. I just got off the phone with the Philadelphia Wings head coach and general manager. We're going to do some lacrosse, some box lacrosse on Crossing Broad tomorrow. Yeah, we're trying to avoid the Eagles and the Phillies and the Sixers. And, maybe we do one week where we do no 4-for-4 sports and we just do like everything off to the side. Make it like a once a year tradition. Now, listen, I got a request.
Yeah.
From one of the listeners that they wanted me to do this in the drum room, right? In the
right.
Yeah, so there's the drum kit over there.
Oh wow.
There's the guitars on the wall.
Right.
We got a Judas Priest 1988 tour poster there. And in the very back there is my other drum kit. And my wife used to work at YSP, so she has an old school 94 WYSP like promotions banner hanging back there.
Nice.
And, she was
yellow.
Yeah, and she was a musical person too, so she's got a little corner back there. She was in the Council Rock South marching band, so we're a very musical family.
Wow,
as you can tell.
That's awesome. You know, if I woke up like drunk in your basement right there, I don't know where I'd be. Like if I woke up and saw the guitar, I'd be like, "Am I in Mertidis's house or Kevin Kinkead's house?" Like, you know.
Yeah, I wonder why Mertidis and I don't play in a band together.
I know.
At this point, we would do a great set list. We do.
You like the same kind of music,
yeah. We do some Pantera, some Megadeth,
Slayer,
Iron Maiden.
If I woke up drunk and you're, I'd be like, "What the hell am I? I need to get the hell up out of here. What the hell is going on here?
Where exactly am I?
I'm like, whoa, I'm in A.
Oh, that's awesome.
I should not be here.
Let you start with the Union because I know you are the source of everything Union, and they're in the playoffs. They just beat Nashville, I think, right over the weekend.
That's right. Yep.
So what's next for them?
Eastern Conference Finals, baby. They've made it to the Final Four. So there's a game tonight between New England and New York City. If New England wins, the Union go up to New England and they play on the terrible crap artificial turf of Gillette Stadium. Mm-hmm. And if they win, NYC comes down to play at Subaru Park, which is a beautiful natural grass pitch, Harry. Yeah. And so we're hoping City, but listen, it's a huge accomplishment for them. I don't have to tell anybody that, for a team that didn't win a playoff game until their 10th year in existence, to string a couple wins together. They won a trophy last year. They're on a little bit of a run now. They went to the semifinals of the Champions League this year. Good for them. There's a lot of people down there that have been working hard, putting in the time and effort, and they have an identity. They have a great sporting director, a great coach. And quite frankly, a lot of the other teams in town could look down at the Union and see what they're doing, which is they have a clear philosophy and they're sticking to it, and they've been successful doing that.
Yeah, they got a farm league, man. That's huge with having that, especially with these kids coming out these days. A lot of teams, a lot of high school teams and Pop Warner teams, as far as football, are suffering because they don't have a pipeline that they can use to go back and, get these guys. Kids are not playing sports like they used to play them before. So the mere fact that they have like a little farm league or like to kind of prep these kids and, put them on the same levels they do in Europe. In Europe, you're 10 years old and you might be making $1 million, man. We're not at that point yet, but I mean, there are kids over there actually 7, 8 years old that sign on these teams and their parents get paid for it.
The other day in the penalty shootout, they had an 18-year-old kid, local kid, step up and he hit a penalty kick. and then he did the "I've got ice in my veins" celebration.
Oh,
afterwards.
wow.
An 18-year-old kid, So think of the cojones you have to do that.
Now, did he do a double knee slide and while he's doing the ice in my veins?
No, you can't, because the penalty shootout wasn't over yet. If he had
Oh.
scored the winning penalty, he could have done a double backhand spring into the river end if he wanted to. So, but it's cool. Like, to Barrett's point too, it's cool that they're easy to cheer for because they got kids who are local. Brendan Aronson's from Medford, New Jersey. They sold him to Europe, and now he's starting for the United States national team.
Wow.
Zach Steffen didn't play for the Union, but was a starting goalkeeper when they beat Mexico a couple weeks ago. He's from Coatesville. And then you got Christian Pulisic, who's from Hershey. And, right. So there's like the two Pennsylvania dudes and a guy from Medford playing for the United States. Yeah, we call him the Medford Messi. So that's our
is that right?
That's our nickname for him. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh man. Now, do they if they were in college, like what kind of name, image, and likeness stuff do you think they'd be able to get?
Oh my God! Well, the Medford. Well, I guess you couldn't do the Medford Messi, right? Because you can't take Messi's name, right? But you could figure something. Listen, I think if they were doing name, image, and likeness in college, they'd be signing up as a barstool athlete, and that's about it. Which means you don't get anything, but you get a retweet from Portnoy. So, it's probably the best that the college soccer players could come up with. They ain't signing any kind of Georgia football kind of deals.
You can't put a value on a retweet from Portnoy, though.
That's true. I mean, I would never. I say it and I laugh, but maybe they end up with 10,000 more Twitter followers.
Right.
So
we can all use that.
Who am I to judge?
All right. Mad Hatter on the stream wants to know if that. I believe he's talking about the white guitar. Is that a BC Rich Warlock?
It's a BC Rich Ironbird.
Okay,
that's my most prized possession. It's a 1980s handcrafted when they made them out in California.
Okay,
so that's one of the originals. The Kiss, Paul Stanley played one of those back in the day for Kiss. They were popular among like heavy metal bands back then. They don't really make them anymore. So that is my most valued possession right there.
Do you have a Kramer? I remember Kramers were big with metal bands too.
No, I've always been a BC Rich guy, and I have a Gibson that I love playing too. It's a Les Paul Studio, right there.
I see it. Yeah, it's got a sunburst.
You can't go wrong with anything they make. Yeah, I've been a guitar player for 18 years, but I play drums more now because I think when you have two kids, you just want to go downstairs and bang on something, and you want to like empty your mind, and you don't want to think about what you have to play. So let me just go down here and hit on this, and maybe I'll record some videos and share them on Twitter, and the listeners of the middle will like them. So,
well, if you were an Eagles fan on Sunday, you wanted to bang on something around 4:00 in the afternoon. What was your initial reaction to losing to the lowly Giants?
I just can't stand Joe Judge. I mean, his fake tough guy routine, the Lansdale. He is a disgrace to the great borough of Lansdale. The fine people who live up here in central Montco, if that's a location. But no, it was funny because I was sitting there thinking, like, okay, they fired Jason Garrett. They're going to get like the motivated team that comes out and plays hard for the new guy. I mean, Freddie Kitchens was not exactly lighting the world on fire there. I did like the flea flicker into the screen pass. That was a nice touch from him. That was a YOLO kind of play call from a guy who might not be calling the plays next year. But I just, I think that they were Nick Sirianni was reverting to some bad habits early on, tried to throw the ball. But to his credit, they got back to running the ball on that drive right before halftime, and they ran the ball in the second half as well. And I don't know, there's nothing really profound to say. Like, you turn the ball over 4 times and your quarterback can't throw you back into a game, or the receivers drop the touchdown passes that he does throw, then there you are losing 13-7. I just think, like, I look at it from a macro level. You guys know that, like, I've always viewed this Eagles season as a fact-finding mission. I don't care if they win the division. I don't care if they go to the playoffs. If we answer the question of, is Jalen Hurts a QB of the future? And where I'm at with that is, like, if I was doing a college thesis, right, and you write like the one sentence at the very top of it, which is like explaining what you're going to talk about for the next 10 bazillion words, my like Eagles thesis at this point would be, I don't think Jalen Hurts can consistently win NFL games with his arm, however, you can win with Jalen Hurts. And what I mean by that is, if they change their philosophy from the top down and they commit to building the Baltimore Ravens 2.0, and they build a great defense and a running team and commit to it, maybe they can do it. I don't know. I just don't think Howie Roseman's the kind of guy who wants to, who's going to go down that path. If you try to like replicate, like make Jalen Hurts, a Lamar Jackson type of guy, maybe you can do it. But I don't know. I don't think that question is answered through 12 games so far.
he's not going to get an opportunity to do that. So I think it's already a foregone conclusion. Especially after this game, that this is going to be that way. They're not going to do it, and just seeing how this organization has handled themselves in the past, those 3 draft picks, those first-round draft picks, man, are burning a hole in Howie's pocket. So since they're burning a hole in his pocket, he's going to want to get out there and find somebody ASAP. The owner's on his back for doing it. And plus, he wants to get tied to someone that's successful. As long as he's tied to someone in the organization that's successful, that means he sticks around a lot longer. And I think that's the biggest reason why he's going to want to go out and get somebody like that.
Yeah, self-preservation for sure. Yeah. That's why I say it's a philosophical thing. Like, let's just say for a minute, let's do an exercise here. Let's say they could be successful building a run-first team with Jalen Hurts if they used all those draft picks on the defense. How much do you think Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie would be amenable to that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's not what they are.
No.
Like, they look at all the guys, the quarterbacks that they've liked in the past. They're all 6'3" Caucasian stiffs.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that sounds vulgar, maybe that was crass of me to say, but like there's a pattern there, and some of the stiffs turn out not to be stiffs, like Carson Wentz and Nick Foles, but there's clearly a pattern there.
Right,
the Clayton Thorsons of this world, they're looking at Kenny Pickett.
Right.
So
I think they salivated over Trevor Siemian years ago.
Siemian, Sam Howell. Maybe Howie was doing a twofer scouting mission out there in the Berg,
Right.
But I don't know. To me, it's more of a macro level philosophical kind of thing. I don't know if there's any guarantee that if you let Jalen Hurts develop the rest of the year and into next year, that he's ever going to be a guy who's going to win games consistently with his arm. So the question for the Eagles is, how long are you willing to wait? Or maybe you've already made the decision that he's not that guy.
What about the guy that was trying to beat the Washington football team last night and his availability or possible availability? Would you take a run at him at the age of 33?
I don't know. I just don't. I feel like there's a better way to do it. I like to feel this. Maybe this is really stupid, but I like to feel as though you build a team that's kind of where the pieces kind of match in terms of, like, we've got young talent coming in. Let's get the quarterback right, and then let's build everything around it. I don't trust the Eagles to like rebuild the defense and get the pieces and then bring the veteran quarterback in. I don't know. It just seems like I would personally do it the opposite way, versus like gambling on a guy who has a lot of tread on the tires. I would just prefer that they find a guy through the draft. Maybe it's not going to happen, but I don't know. It's just a personal preference.
Or maybe it happens next year in the draft, and because they trade back and get a first rounder for next year when there might be better quarterbacks.
If this was a better quarterback class, that's the thing that's killing me, because otherwise you could take one of those picks and get a quarterback, or maybe trade 2 of them and move up for the quarterback you want, then you still have a first rounder left over. There would be optionality, which is not a word, even though Daryl Morey uses it all the time. But I don't know. I don't. Again, if you wrote down like 100 questions, I think I may have wrote down 100 questions for Crossing Broad at the beginning of the year. Let's answer these questions about the Eagles right now. I don't feel like we've answered enough of the proverbial questions to feel like any certain way about next year.
Right.
Well, the only thing I think we've answered is our starting left tackle.
Yep.
I think we've answered our starting left guard.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've also we've answered the fact that, we have to move on from pricey guys trying to rush the passer, as far as Fletcher Cox and Derek Barnett. I don't know from any other way which direction do you go after that. Linebacker position is still up in the air. They rewarded a guy to coming in and playing hard, playing tough, showing the ability to play.
Yeah.
But do you sign, the other guys, Singles into a long-term deal? There's so many unanswered questions there.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this, Barrett. Like, do you think right now, if the Eagles were able to carve out some kind of identity as a running team in a passing league, and they ran QB powers and zone reads and RPOs and let Jalen Hurts use his legs and do some of the things that they're doing now successfully, is that sustainable? And is it going to win you a Super Bowl?
No,
I don't think so either.
Yeah. See, that's why it's a philosophical thing, because like they're winning games week to week, and they had a little run there where it was going, right.
Mm-hmm.
But the things that they do well is like that's not congruent with what works in the modern day NFL or what's sustainable in the NFL. So even though you have like a semblance of a good thing here, I wouldn't put it past Howie and Jeffrey Lurie to blow it up because they just don't think that, philosophically that's the way that you win.
But right. I will say this: you've won game. When you say a running quarterback, that's I haven't seen anybody win a championship doing that, but I have seen guys have the running the ball, great defense, and that has won a championship. I say no because they don't have the capacity or the leadership inside, the people making decisions to build a great defense. That's the only reason why I say no. Now, if you say if they could build a great defense and do that with a running quarterback, I'm saying they can do that. They can definitely win with Jalen Hurts, but I don't see them having that ability to build a championship defense anymore. I don't think that Howie will do that because you have to draft a safety, you have to draft a linebacker that you have to fear, and they won't do that.
And another edge rusher.
Edge rusher. Yep.
Yeah. All right. Before we get to the college stuff, you brought up Daryl Morey. Sixers in a little bit of a spin here since Embiid has been out. He came back now, is starting to regain his strength. But will the Sixers fan get a Christmas gift in a trade of Ben Simmons before the end of the year?
No, it'll go beyond that, I think. If it goes beyond the deadline, then you really ask questions because I just don't think I give Daryl Morey credit for playing it hard and fast and not budging on the Ben Simmons thing, but you can't let it get to the point where you're wasting a year of Joel Embiid's prime.
Right.
I mean, he's only got a finite amount of time left, so to me it would be malpractice if you go any further than that, because then you win the dumbest pissing contest of the year. Oh, am I allowed to say that?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You can say any
you win the dumbest pissing contest of the year, but at what expense?
Right.
Like at the end of the day, you're bringing back a number one seed. So, I mean, like you have a finite window that's not very large to begin with to go for it, right? So, to answer the question, I would say no, and I'll give you a pseudo. This isn't even really a hot take, but I think the Sixers are going to fall below 500 this month. They go on a 4-game road trip this week. They come back, they play Utah and Golden State at home, who are two of the top 3 teams in the NBA right now. And I don't know, Joel Embiid, these guys coming back from COVID, it takes time. Look at what Seth Curry was last year. Until he got hot in the playoffs, until he finally started looking like himself again. So, I want to be Posidelphia about it. I don't want to be Negadelphia about it, but I'm more in a state of suspension with the Sixers right now. But it's I feel like I'm in Sixers stasis, where I'm just kind of waiting for them to pull the trigger on a Ben move, and then we'll go from there because everybody knows that this is a joke until they do that.
Totally agree. All right, college football is just it's on fire right now. I mean,
this is our week, Harry.
This is our week. We got championship week, and nobody's talking about the games. They're all talking about this coach leaving this place for that place and making $10 million. It is unbelievable. What did you think of the first move when you found out Lincoln Riley was leaving Oklahoma for USC and all he got?
I just it's crazy to me just to think in a vacuum that any coach would willingly leave Oklahoma or willingly leave Notre Dame. I mean, think about that for a minute.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. There's, but then when I kind of come back around that, I'm like, all right, well, where are they leaving to go to? Southern Cal and LSU. I mean, there's only a handful of programs you would leave those programs for, but it's just, I think the thing that kills Harry is what you were saying right at the beginning there. It's we're focused on this instead of a bunch of great games coming up.
Yeah.
And But Notre Dame is 11-1.
Right, they could be in the playoffs.
If things go if a couple things go their way, they could be in the playoff.
Yeah,
the playoffs, as Jim Mora once said. But and not have their coach.
Right.
So and beyond that with the bowl game thing, it's look, I get it. If the players think they got a chance to make a couple $1 million and they don't want to injure themselves, so be it. But and Barrett can speak to this too. It's the vast majority of guys on college teams are not going to the NFL.
Yep.
So imagine that's your swan song, your final game, where a bunch of your guys who are headed to the pros don't participate. Your coach is going to another school, and it just puts a damper on bowl season, which is supposed to be kind of like a celebration of the sport. And you get to watch all these great games and whatnot. So I think it's just, I understand why the culture is the way it is, but it's still disappointing.
Well, the stupid early signing day really throws a wrench into all this too.
I know if they could come up with, if the calendar was tweaked a little bit, or like you didn't have to wait forever to play the Poulan Weed Eater Bowl,
right?
Then we wouldn't be in these situations in the first place, and which is where we're going. By the way, we scraped to 6-6. So, big win over Kansas to get us.
That's for Kansas beat Texas, man.
Yeah, so I don't know. It just I think the thing that's a bummer is like, look, I know the transfer portal makes it a little easier for players to move. I would like coaches to, at least commit to their teams through the end of the season, but like at the same time, like I get it. If I have a great gig at Crossing Broad, but if the New York Times came to me tomorrow and said, we'll let you write about, football all day long for the New York Times, then you would go to the New York Times, So it's just, I understand why these guys are in the situations they're in.
How about, go ahead, Barrett.
I'm just looking at the whole situation, man. It's very apparent now. Now I've always known it, that NFL, college football is big business, but the kids weren't partaking into it, and when they did, they got penalized for it.
Yep,
they're now starting to show what we've seen as players for a long time, that it's big business. This likeness, deal is made it, very apparent that these athletes are now getting paid for that type of stuff that college football has been paid for years and years and years, and now they can move the same way these coaches can move. It's just turned into more so. It's more of a job now, as opposed to all right, you just gaining an education, man.
I think if the gripe was like coaches being able to move and do whatever they want, and we know we're not going to correct that and bring them back down to the level that the players are, then elevate the players to the level that the coaches are and give them the same freedoms that they have, and that addresses the question. NIL, transfer portal, stuff like that, because if there's nothing, if you're going to put in a rule to, like, I don't know, say you have a rule that keeps, Brian Kelly at Notre Dame through the end of it or whatever, like instead of putting the restrictions on everybody, just open it up and make it a free for all and let them do their thing. Transfer portal, we got a crappy quarterback out of Bowling Green, but a couple of years ago, he would have never been able to do that, So I think like if the situation is going to be what it is, then the answer is to open it up for the players and keep moving in that fashion, which is like, it was, the NIL thing was so popular that even the Republicans and the Democrats both agreed on it, which is like the first time they've agreed on anything in like 40 years, so that tells you all you need to know, right?
I missed out on all that stuff, man. I missed it all, man. I'm pissed.
Yeah. But you played for some good K-State teams back in the day, so.
Yeah, but we weren't getting paid. I remember I was playing in Apex. Yeah, that's playing in Apex. We wanted to save money. Coach Snyder, oh my goodness, great guy, saved my life. But Apex, man, come on, I'd wear them for one half, and the bottom be falling out of them, man. You know what I mean?
Well, Coach Snyder would have never left K-State for Southern Cal. He would have stayed at K-State for.
He would have. That's right. If he could have, That's exactly right.
Got the stadiums named after him down there now.
Do you think James Franklin wishes he would have waited a week to make a decision?
I don't know, man. Brent Pry is a big loss, and he's got roots in Virginia too. So not only does he miss out on whatever opportunity he could have, he loses his really good defensive coordinator at the same time. Just going to Virginia Tech, and Brent Pry was a graduate assistant for Bud Foster down there
at Virginia Tech.
He was one of the best defensive coordinators. I don't know why he never became a head coach, but I remember we were playing against some of those VPI teams back in the day, and man, they were stout.
They were.
But that's good. I just wonder, like, I don't know how Penn State fans feel about that. I've never, maybe you guys are different, but I don't think I've ever talked to a Penn State fan who's like, rah, James Franklin.
No,
right.
Very few. Very few.
Like So why 10 years? Like, I don't know. It just doesn't really, I think he's a great recruiter or whatever. I think they reached their ceiling with James Franklin a couple years ago. And I just, Penn State should be in that echelon of Southern Californias and Ohio States and Alabamas and Georgias and stuff like that.
What do you think Temple ends up doing?
Man, I don't know. I think the statistic, if you go back to Al Golden's years, you would know.
I'd
better
give him
than
a call.
Well, what's the so let me ask you this. Who is the last Temple coach who left unwillingly?
Bobby Wallace.
Yeah. So we're going back 15
That's prior to Golden.
Yeah.
Golden came in for him. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know that Temple kind of got screwed a little bit with the Manny Diaz thing, but Rod Carey's Northern Illinois teams, like they were 3 years removed from their 11 win and 12 win seasons. So he wasn't a super sexy pick at the time. And when they went undefeated too, and he coached in that bowl game, like he was the interim guy because the other dude left.
Right. The other guy went to North Carolina State, I think.
Yeah. I like the idea of going like qualified coordinator at a Power 5 school, bring him in for his first head coaching job, let him do that. I mean, I think that's probably what they've had the most success with. If you're going to tell yourself and be okay with the fact that like this guy's probably going to leave in 2 or 3 years, because that's what Temple is, like it or not. And I just think with the way that it went with the COVID season and this year, like I feel like the momentum for the on-campus stadium
is totally gone.
All that stuff is gone. Yeah,
absolutely.
See, Fran Brown having an opportunity.
Yeah, maybe they bring back Ed Foley. What's Ed Foley doing right now?
Ed Foley's down with Carolina.
He went with Matt Rule. Yeah, I don't know. I wonder about the future of Temple football too, because with the American, sending 3 teams to the Big 12. Like I feel like Temple's kind of at a crossroads a little bit, where it's like, do you want to be a basketball school or do you want to be a football school? Because I think the American is okay for either one of those, but they could be better suited if they wanted to focus on basketball, trying to go somewhere else. If they wanted to go, they could try to make a play to get back in the A-10 and go like independent of football.
Right.
And there's enough independence that they could play out there. They could start some kind of another Eastern thing, but I don't know. It just doesn't, it's hard to believe we're not that far removed from like the college game day being here.
Unbelievable. 2016. Yeah.
Right.
It seems like 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
All right, Kev, check him out on Crossing Broad. Follow him on Twitter. He's if you like soccer, man, this guy, you gotta be tuned in for this, because he's the one guy in this area that's dialed in on all of it, and college sports. He does it all. We appreciate you. You have a minute to drum, or you want to hit the skill?
I don't know how to. It's an electronic kit. I don't know how to mic it.
Oh, that's right.
But yeah, maybe we'll set up a performance for the next time.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be good. Don't you have that overhead camera?
You see the hole in the drop ceiling right there?
Yes.
Yeah, that's where the camera comes out, because I couldn't figure out how to rig it any other way. So I took the ceiling tile out, and I strapped it to like a joist running through my basement.
That's great ingenuity by you, bro.
That is incredible.
Yeah, you don't have to see how the hot dog is made. You just gotta
just eat it. Just eat it. Yeah. All right, appreciate it, man. Enjoy the football this weekend. There he is, Kevin Kinkead. We love him. He's great. Well, how about that? He opens up the ceiling tile, drops a camera down so you can have the overhead shot of him playing drums.
Bro, I had the same thing down in my basement in my workout room, because when I get on my elliptical, I'm taller than what they did, so I got to take out the drop ceiling. So I don't even put one there now. I just leave it out. You know what I'm saying? I just leave it out. So it's been like that for years.
Wow.
Since I've had the basement. So that's what it is.
I used to have an upper bunk in the fraternity house, so I was up near the ceiling tile, and I'd take the ceiling tiles out too. Yeah.
You made my day, bro.
Yeah, there it is. Okay.
Yeah,
and that might not be a bag of White Castles, but I figured I'd get you laughing on that one. All right, well, stay tuned for Dan Cilio later today with the football show from 4 to 6. Birds 365 tomorrow. Are you going on Birds 365 again tomorrow?
No, just today.
No.
I was just on it today.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, stay tuned for them tomorrow and everything here on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. Smash the like button, tell a friend, and we will talk at you all again tomorrow morning at 11 a.m.